Yep, I was muted. Ah, that's okay. I always forget about the sound. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I know that nobody comes here to see this. You come here to maybe hang out and chat a little bit, which is super awesome. I very much appreciate it. Basically, what I was saying is today is July 5th. It is our 50th week in a row of streaming. It's going to be super casual today with sound casual, not we'll try to make sure to unmute stuff. Ay, ay, ay. You think 50 weeks? 50 weeks in a row, a guy could remember to hit the mute button. I'm a slow learner. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, yesterday was Independence Day in the United States, and I go around and I'm like, Happy Freedom Day, because as you probably have heard if you've been watching this for a few weeks or so, freedom, flexibility, independence is very much one of my core values. Just so happens to be that it's something that's valued here in the U.S. as well. But when it comes to my life in particular, everything I do is centered around keeping as much freedom and flexibility in my life. Even this show, when I decided to do this show, Domain to Profit, I was like, do I really want to put something on my schedule that every single week I'm going to need to be at at the laptop at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? It's like a miracle that I've managed to do this 50 weeks in a row. Anyhow, crazy. So what we are here to talk about is domains, not just domains as in, the grand scheme of what domain names do, and that is give internet addresses, give us a way to find things on the internet, a location to go to. But more in particular, we're talking about how domain names can be developed and created to generate revenue and lifestyle and freedom and independence for you. So, think about what it is that you either maybe hate doing, something that you hate doing. For me, when I was younger, I mowed lawns. It was one of my earlier business was mowing lawns, and, several houses every single week. I'd go and mow lawns and by the time I got my own house, I'm like, I am done mowing lawns. I hated doing it. I would, anyhow, do anything to get out of it, including paying hard-earned money to somebody else to do it. So maybe you're trying to escape something you hate. So maybe a boss or a job, maybe a career decision you made long ago that you're actually just wanting to get out of now. Like you want to find some way to get out of the rat's race that you found yourself in. And I've certainly been there as well. Just out of actually, I did 2 quarters in college at Ohio State, and then I dropped out thinking I was ready to take on the world. I was, getting a job offer because I was starting to learn how to program and design websites, which is, late 90s. So that's like the .com boom. And I was like, I have everything I need. I'm ready to move on. And basically what I ended up in was a corporate job. And I ended up as a consultant, getting paid good money to program on other people's dreams and create things that they wanted. But most importantly, I had bosses, lots of bosses. I had the boss of the consulting firm, and then I had bosses at the place I was consulting. And one day at lunch, sat down with my boss, Mark, at the time, and he pretty much, I said, hey, I'm kicking butt, learned a lot, I've taken on more responsibilities. It's time to, you can bill more for me. I'm worth more to the company. He's like, oh, awesome. He's taking notes. I'm kind of like, and in turn, I'd, like to make sure that I'm getting a raise as well. And he's like, oh no, that's not possible. Even though you're bringing more value to the marketplace, we're not going to pay you more because you don't have a degree, you don't have certifications, you don't have all these check boxes marked. And I'm kind of like, what the, like, do I bring value to the marketplace? Shouldn't I gain value anyhow? You've probably ended up in that same situation. You're like, I need independence from this. I need to get away from somebody else having control of my life. That's what we talk about here when we talk about domains, developing domains. It is a way to gain independence. So whether you're a techie, whether you love to program already, whether you love the internet or hate the internet, domain names and the ways that you can use them can provide you financial freedom, schedule freedom, location freedom. I can do most of what I do from anywhere in the world. All the freedom that you can gain, all the independence that you can gain, all from a domain name. That's why I'm doing this show, to help you hopefully find that independence and create the life that you're looking to do. So I see lots of chat coming in, which is very, very cool. Thank you so much. If you're watching me live, make sure you've said hi in the chat. If you're joining me from somewhere, let me know where you're coming from, and I will be back just after we roll this intro with this custom music. So fun. Okay, here we go.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Walsh and get started right now.
Alrighty, as a bunch of people already pointed out, the sound was down at the beginning. So if you're watching on a restream, you'll see that. Got Dominic joining me in here. I got into the domain social on Friday. It was super awesome to see everybody. I tend to be burnt out by Friday, so I'm like, I work hard. I'm ready for the weekend, but managed to get in there and say hi to a bunch of folks. So very cool. Michael, nice to see you as always. Michael is one of my first one in, first to chat. You got beat today, Michael. Slacking. But thanks for joining me. Lee as well from the other side of the world. Very cool. Always fun to see those. The various international folks that join me. I find it super awesome, especially because like what we talk about here can be done from anywhere in the world. It does, as long as you have a computer and an internet connection. You can participate in the economy and in the game-changing things that we're talking about, which is very cool. I just think it's so exciting. I wish I can just go door to door and talk about it. And then Darcy is laughing at the sound issues, but thanks for being here with us. I'm going to stop saying very cool, and Jake as well. 50 weeks. I don't know if there's not too many things I stay committed to that often on a weekly basis, but I'm glad that I do. And Darcy was asking about Discount Fireworks, and I'll share, I did not buy discountfireworks.com only because I saw it on his Twitter feed. My buddy Peter Askew, he bought that. He bought discountfireworks.com, and so he's saying, what's more American on Independence Day than VidaliaOnions.com and DiscountFireworks.com, and he's already picturing the commercials and things that he's going to do with it. And speaking of Peter, he will be the first ever guest here on From Domain to Profit. He'll be joining me on July 19th, which is our 1 year celebration. So our 1 year show, we're kind of changing things around a little bit. I'm bringing on my first guest ever. It's going to be who I call my brother, my domain development brother from another mother, which is Peter. So very cool that he's going to be here. Okay. And so she said she did know it was here. And no, I actually, let me bring up this comment before I start talking about it. I did not bid on it. I actually, I saw it and I was going to leave that one out for somebody else. When I was a kid, I played with fireworks. Let me get this off here. When I was a kid, I played with fireworks quite a bit and somehow managed to keep all my fingers and all my toes and never had any injuries or anything. But I will tell you what, I'm perfectly fine, really probably never lighting another firework in my life. They are very big in the U.S. So if you're watching this internationally and maybe fireworks aren't a thing around you, here yesterday and pretty much the entire weekend, nonstop fireworks all over the place. I played with them a lot as a kid, but I'm fine just watching them, fine letting other people do it as of this point. And Chuck, Chaz, Coaster G, happy to see you joining me as well. Yeah, and here we go. I'll toss this up here from Jake as well. I'm always curious to see what Peter does as well. He buys to develop, which is very much what I love. I love those. All of you who are joining me here, just the idea that you're interested in development, interested in taking a domain that you already own or a domain that we're going to look through and possibly find and turning that into a business. You're my kind of peeps, that's for sure. Like, just that fact, like anyone who, like Peter, wants to buy a domain to develop it or for the potential of that development rather than just to sell it off. Victory! Lots of caffeine, which is a good start. So I'm going to step over here to my laptop and start to get out to expireddomains.net and share off my screen. And there we go. So this is expireddomains.net. We are going to move on to give us a little bit of, next step. We're going to be looking at domain names. Let me pull me back up. We're going to be looking at domain names that have expired. So these are domains that the previous owner has registered, they use or didn't use, and now that domain name is becoming available for someone to buy and someone to use again. And these domains, so as they expire, one of the first things they do is before they ever just kind of go back to where you can just go to GoDaddy and see if it's available, the domain name will go to auction. And many of you may already be familiar with expired auctions, but for those who are watching on a restream or not familiar with the way domain name auctions work, various auction locations, they take those domain names in, they auction them out. And if you know about the auction, you have the potential to pick up a life-changing domain name and be able to develop it and just really do things that a lot of people don't think is available to them anymore. Most people think all the best domains are gone. All the best domains were registered forever ago, and I don't have any chance whatsoever at a domain name that could really establish me and help me, help you turn the dreams and hopes that you have for creating the life that you want. Well, some of the domains that we're going to be talking about from these expired auctions can be those domains. These are domains that if you purchase some of them, people are going to be like, how did you get that domain name? That was available? It's like, no, it wasn't available. Saw this guy, Drew, on the internet. He showed me where to go, and I was able to buy it at auction, put my business up on it, and voila. And we will be looking at these domains and talking about some business ideas that you can put on it. So possibly you come here today and you don't even have a business idea necessarily. Well, these domains can be your business idea. And I'll show you more about that as we get going in. Here is expireddomains.net. Expireddomains.net, free site, set up a free account. They make their money when you click their links to participate in the auction. If you win that auction, in most cases, they take a little affiliate commission from that. So use the site, click those links, support expireddomains.net. I'm not affiliated with them. I just love the product and really would love for them to make as much money as possible. So I encourage you to check that out. I'm going to start over on Dropcatch here. So when you come into expireddomains.net, yours will probably, it won't look dark. I use the dark looking one. So yours will be probably white by default. I changed it to dark mode just because I like it better. So when you come in, you're going to see this. Where you're going to want to start, if you've never visited the site before, is here, the second tab for marketplace domains. There's so much going on. There's lots of data, like millions, hundreds of thousands, millions of domain names can be registered at any given time. They try to organize all this huge amounts of data on one site. But for the sake of these domain auctions, these expired auctions, we go to the marketplace domain tab, which is right here. And then we concentrate on just a couple of these boxes here, these are the different marketplaces. So these are the different auction houses that will have domains available for you. We concentrate on Dropcatch, and then up here, this is GoDaddy. So all those domains that people have up on GoDaddy that are expired, they go through this expired GoDaddy auction. And then there's all these other registrars, and registrars are the where you can get a domain name from. We're going to go over to Dropcatch. Dropcatch, just real quick, I'll just tell you, Dropcatch, essentially what they do is when a domain name expires, it deletes, and when it does something called a drop, that is when it becomes available for anybody. They register it really quick before anybody else. They put all these servers analyzing it and grabbing those domains. So they grab domains off of the drop, and then they put them up for auction. So that's what you're going to see here. These are domains that they caught that are going to be going for auction. And what we want to order by. So as you can see here, they caught 3,300 domains, or they have 3,300 domains that are up for auction. We don't want to go through 3,300 domains because a lot of them are going to be garbage. How do we avoid that? How do we avoid going one domain at a time through this list? Well, we have to set up our filters, and the filters we will set up will be pretty much the same across the board. We will do no numbers, no hyphens. I stick to English 1 to 3 words. And then over on the this second tab here under additional, I make sure it's only .com. So I prefer to, well, .com is the top domain name. If you're looking at auctions, especially expired auctions, .com is where you're going to want to be looking. And from there, that's pretty much all the filters that I use. I did see prior to the show a couple domains that are not English words that show up that may be worth looking at. I'm not going to talk about them, but feel free to take off the word requirement. There's some fun domains that show up at times. The domain name in particular that I'm thinking of was, I believe, Cannabis IQ. More of a brandable type domain name. Brandable being, it's kind of art. It's a domain name, sounds like a cool address. What it means, it's up to you as the developer. You as the owner, you get to define what Cannabis IQ means, but it sounds like it has something to do with knowing something about cannabis. So if you're looking for a cannabis domain, you can find that one over on Dropcatch. It will not show up because we are only looking at English words. So how do I want to order these? I'm going to order them by, we can either order by price, seeing what others are bidding on by price or bids. Another way to do it is by registrar. This column here shows you how many other extensions. So just like there's .com, .net, .org, .biz, .info, .us, there's hundreds of different extensions. How many of them are registered for this exact same extension? .com being the most important extension. So this one, for example, has 22 other extensions have this domain name, myconcert.com, registered in it. Currently $760 as of the update that expireddomains.net has done. So it's probably changed. My concert, not really digging it. So what I'm going to do is zoom in here, and we are going down just a few on this. We don't go too deep in the Dropcatch domains because they don't have that many, and we end up finding, let's see if we even find any that are of interest. And as always, if you're joining me for the first time, or joining me live for the first time, feel free, if you see something on the list that I am bypassing, you can call it out and say, hey, that one's good for development. Why are you skipping on that one? I'm either skipping it because I didn't see it, I kind of missed it, skimmed over it, or because I didn't view it as worth developing. And if you want to know why, I can talk to you about that, but I prefer to know the specific domain name. So here we go. We may not actually see anything. Yeah. Not really seeing like this Canna Systems. I saw this one. I saw a couple other Canna type domains. Canna being someone trying to be a little short, being a little abbreviation of cannabis. Cannabis domains are often hot, or hot being they're pretty popular domains. And not, you can mess with them, but in most cases, unless you're just really eager to put together a blog or something about cannabis, they're probably not worth getting for the purpose of development, unless it's a really good cannabis domain. So my concert probably is the best one that's listed here. And now we are looking at it by the number of registrars. Let's go over here and also look at the price. And what we will do is we're going to spy. We're going to see what others are bidding big money on and possibly be able to join in on the action. And by big money on drop catch, a lot of times they're tens or hundreds of dollars. They absolutely will get up much, much higher at times. So Canna Systems, that might be the one I saw. Seek Solutions, Power Repair. It sounds, I call that like a close enough domain. Power Repair, 2 words. They sound great by themselves. If you can get power.com, amazing. Repair.com, big money. Put them together. Wow. Not like, what does that even mean? Power Repair. I guess sounds like something of interest, but it's not probably worth purchasing for development. You'll find that a lot with domains. So one of the things I often will say to watch out for are domains that sound like they mean something, but don't. So 2 words that go together that just really don't mean anything. The added character, we'll see if any of those show up during the show. The added character is when you see a domain name, it looks amazing, but they snuck in typically an S. I call it a middle S. So for example, upload logistics, that's more of 2 words that were put together. But so it kind of makes sense. Upload logistics, maybe that's the process of uploading something. But sometimes you'll find domains that will be uploads with an S, uploads logistics. That middle S completely removes all value from that domain name. A lot of times they sneak it in there and it does not make sense with that S there. If it makes sense, the rule doesn't apply. But in most cases, that middle S really hurts a domain name, and it could take something that would be worth thousands of dollars and turn it into something at best is 10, 20 bucks. So that is one of the top tips I really try to put out there to make sure that you can avoid that pain of paying too much for a domain name that is not worth a darn. So as you see here, I am moving over to the GoDaddy auctions. Not really seeing much as far as the drop catch domains. I think, I can't confirm this. I don't know 100% about how drop catch auctions work, but in most cases, they happen really quick. So I think they happen over the course of like 3-4 days rather than the GoDaddy ones that are more like 7-8 days. So you got to kind of check them out a few times a week rather than GoDaddy. We can look at this, see what the domains are going to be for the next week. It is worth updating and checking, but so yeah. And let me just, I'm going to share that out, Dominic. Hope that's okay. But he's saying he's been caught on that middle S. I have been caught on that middle S as well. I own toys with an S, storage.com. Toystorage.com, great domain name, very practical, talks about a product. Toys storage, it kind of makes sense, but it doesn't. And in that case, you get the double S in the middle too. That's even worse. But toystorage.com, I think I ended up paying a couple $100 for it. And it's not a very good domain name. I made a mistake. I got caught by that middle S. That was many, many years ago that I got that. And I hold that domain name as a reminder. Check that middle X, check that middle S. So here's where we are now. We are over on the GoDaddy auctions. Currently, it is ordered by the price. So this is how much somebody is currently bidding on the domain name. I am going to switch to the valuation. which is the estimated appraised value of these domains. A lot of times they go hand in hand. That valuation is completely it's an automated guesstimate based on data of how much a domain name's worth. It is great for using and sorting a bunch of domains. You can like see, approximately their value. However, that number means nothing other than just giving you a good sort. You'll find that there's numerous domains that will go for way more, way less. Using that number to purchase a domain name would be a mistake. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. Do you really want to make a couple $1,000 mistake? You have to kind of learn the little keys, the little triggers to make sure you're purchasing the right kind of domain name. But I do like to order by it by default because it brings a lot of the good ones to the top. So that way, over the course of just a few minutes, as we talk about domain names, we can talk about some really good domains instead of having to weed through page after page of garbage domains, hoping to find one worth mentioning. So right off the bat, this top one, which is I saw was going for several $1,000s, shoerack.com is an example of it's a really good product-based domain name. So if you sell custom shoe racks, the ones that hang on the back of the door, the ones that go underneath your bed, any kind of shoe rack, this may be a great place for you to sell the actual shoe rack. On the brand side, shoe rack might be where you can sell custom shoes. Shoe rack, where you find shoes, pull them off the rack, order them, and ship them to your door. When it comes to brandables, though, that's what that would be in that case. If the domain name does not make a direct connection with the domain names, let me try to clear this up in my brain a little bit. Shoe rack as a shoe store would be more of, I consider it a brandable domain name. It has shoe in the name, so you can, it has something to do with shoes. It has rack in the name, shoe racks. Well, shoe racks would be a place that you would find a bunch of different shoes or store a bunch of shoes. So it might make sense for you to put a shoe store up on it. However, it's not the literal shoe rack. Well, a lot of times on the show, we talk about the literal name. So shoe rack is in the literal product of shoe racks being there. However, this is a great opportunity to buy something if you want to sell shoes or support independent shoemakers that create the designer shoes, and you want to allow them to sell through your site or something like that. I could see that being a pretty good website, pretty good domain name for that kind of thing. And I'm assuming that is why, let's see here, 20 bidders have put in 140 bids, bringing this up to $5,600 already. Hard to say what it's worth. If you're trying to sell shoe racks, I don't know. If you agree, disagree, if you think it's a great one, then go for it. Certainly don't let this guy on the internet steer you wrong. Unless you're passionate about shoes, it would be a pass for me. VIPtours.com. I love the word VIP. I love those characters. VIPtours.com sounds like a great brand for touring. And again, it's kind of like shoe rack. Great domain name. The question is, what can you put on it? So in this case, VIP Tours sounds like a great tour company that you can go to and find tours from around the world. The thing is I don't know. Wouldn't you much rather have tours.com would be certainly darn close to $1 million domain, if not more. So VIP Tours is a brandable because it sounds like, okay, maybe it's private tours. It's a good domain for a private tour or something like that. You can put up a directory, the different tour guides that will do private tours of various locations, that kind of thing. Go on this domain name. You can see a lot of other people are probably thinking the same thing. They love VIP and the domain name, so they're looking to buy it. A couple $1,000. It's going to be worth it. Travel's big. We own some pretty good domain names. I'm not 100% sure if we would participate in that or not. It's kind of getting up to where we would probably bypass, but that's going to be one I'll have to talk to the wife on. Let's see. Registered domain name, a perfect generic domain name. If you're a domain registrar, you might want it. I don't know, maybe it's a great blog. If you can get that for a reasonable price, maybe you can put up a blog that talks about how to register a domain name, what is a domain name, what are the parts of a domain name, basically creating content, bringing it in, and then affiliate link out to Google or something. Registereddomainname.com, $105. It's 3 words. 3 words are the max. Usually, if we go to 3 words, I will say then 2 words would be a great domain name. So domain name would be amazing. In this case, it's literally the words domain name. And then register would be the action. So register domain name. Same thing if it was get domain name, find domain name. Those are pretty good domain names. The only thing is domain names, to me, to you, that might matter, but to the real world, very few people are just kind of like, yeah, anyhow, not too many people. There are going to be a lot of searches. Actually, this is going to be a good opportunity to bring up our buddies over at SpyFu. I say our buddies only because they provide a free tool that I enjoy using. Let's check out. Let's see how many people are searching for a registered domain name. Don't take my word for it. Let's use data. Let's try to find numbers that are actually going to back up our internal opinion. Or it's either going to validate it or invalidate it. In this case, it looks like there's 7,900 people searching for it. The exact keyword, that's the key, exact keyword. 7,900 people are searching for that exact one. How to register a domain name, that's that blog content I was talking about. So 2,100 people looking for that. Register a domain name with Google. It's branded traffic, but you can still create a how-to and show people how to do that. All of those would create paths to traffic for your website. And who knows, if you're an ambitious person and want to start a registrar, you could always go that path as well. So similar keywords are great ways to look. You want to see your domain name right in that key. So right here's the big one, but you can see your domain name, register a domain name is pretty popular as well. Good keyword data. That domain name looks worth registering if you are passionate about domain names. Probably put maybe $300 on it max, and then some affiliate links. It's going to be a content play unless you want to go through the painstaking process of becoming some kind of ICANN registrar. I can't imagine going through that process. Lots of people have. Maybe that's you. Registereddomainname.com. Over on GoDaddy auctions. And let's see when that ends. I do click on these. One of the reasons I click on them is sometimes the domain name does not actually go up for auction. The person that owns it returns it, or person that owned it previously renews it, and it pulls it back from auction. So that ends tomorrow. So $105 ends tomorrow. There you go. What? What is this? Is that freaking lumbermill.com? Is this really coming up for auction? What? Okay, peeps. This is going to be a big one. Let's see. Is lumbermill 1 word or 2 words? I'm guessing it's 2 words. Yep, 2 words. So here you go. Lumbermill.com does turn out to be 2 words. Lumbermill near me, so you can do the local place. This would be, I'm assuming, if you cut down a tree in your yard and you want to have it processed for lumber, you can find a lumber mill near you. Lumber mill is like the actual saws and stuff. This is a pretty big domain name, an exact match keyword domain name, 2,300 monthly search volume, plus these other keywords that have the exact match in it. So lumber mill, the domain name, lumber mill near me, lumber mill mills near me. Great domain name. Let me see, 2,300. Let's go look at the cost per click that Google's putting out. So you can see here, Google's saying that there's not, so the average cost per click is about 86 cents. Less than $1 is pretty low, actually. We like to see that at $1 or above. That means that based on kind of just multiplying that times the SpyFu estimate, the domain name is probably worth $1,800 easy, which it's worth a little bit of money for sure. I will certainly be adding that to my watch list, participating in that auction a little bit. Don't know if I like it enough to go crazy on it, but lumbermill.com, saw it here, expireddomains.net, and that one ends in 7 days. So that will be ending next Monday during the show. So let's see what happens with it. That's a pretty good domain. You don't see those come across very often. Lumbermill.com. So what could you build it out as? That's kind of the question. We need to do a business plan. So let me just kind of show you this here, the 3-minute business plan setup. This over here is the 3-minute business plan that you can find at this URL down here. And essentially what it does is it say, hey, for this domain name, lumbermill.com, who would your audience be? Well, our audience in this case would be those who are looking to process some wood, to have it chopped up and to, take this big tree, have somebody come out, probably bring it to the lumber mill, sliced up into a bunch of 2x4s or 4x4s or whatever it is that they're looking for. That's the audience. Our market specifically, who are we going to make money from, will probably be the actual lumber mills, having them feature list on the site. The problem is, people have a tree, they want to get it processed for the sake of getting the wood from it. The solution is lumbermill.com is where you can go to find local lumber mills near you to turn that tree that's in your yard into beautiful lumber for you to build something with, something like that. So this business plan is free. You can get it from that URL. Just a PDF to kind of help you think about the audience and market. We start with the domain name, but a business starts by thinking about the audience and the market that will be visiting, buying, transacting through your domain name. Without that audience or market, it's just an idea, and lots of people start businesses that fail because there's not somebody there that is willing to transfer money over to the sake of participating in your domain name. In this case, our market, the lumber mills, can we call them up and say, hey, I'm Drew with lumbermill.com, and I want to make sure that your lumber mill shows when somebody's searching in your area on lumbermill.com. And for $99 a year, would you like to show up there? You can get these different features and things. Chances are there's going to be lumber mills out there that say, yeah, this actually sounds like something I'm interested in. This whole internet stuff, don't really care about it much, but I do know that people are looking on the internet for lumber mill, and I want them to find me. So there you go. Problem, solution, market, audience, all of this summarized on this one page over here, which you can get from this URL. And I keep talking about someday updating it because I want to put so many more things on it. Someday. So there we go. That is lumbermill.com. Let me come over to the chat. Maybe say this right. BMO is asking, why are domain names relevant in the search engine results? That's what the SERPs are talking about. Search engine results. And does systematic search ignore URLs and focus on the page info? So does the domain name, if I'm reading this right, if I'm reading into the intention of the question, he's asking, do domain names matter to the search engine rankings, to showing up in Google? And is it the domain name or is it the content? And I think it turns into a chicken and egg type of thing. The question is what content would you expect to find on, so for example, lumbermill.com? You would expect to find information about lumber mills. It could literally be a product that is a lumber mill that you purchase and you can cut down your own wood. Maybe you buy or rent the lumber mill, or maybe it is the location of local lumber mills. If you can put all of that content on your domain name, then it doesn't necessarily matter whether it's about the domain name or the content. People will expect to find that content on your domain name. And if you're the person that helps bring all that information together, you reap the benefits of having a domain name that shows up well in the search engines. As far as the power of a domain name in the search engines, it doesn't have that much power in the search engines by itself. It used to matter a lot. It should matter a lot. It should matter a whole lot. Like lumbermill.com should rank well for the searches of lumbermill. However, the content's not there, so Google just doesn't give them a chance. It's content. Content is the king. Content, and there's links coming into it, which you'll be able to generate better with a quality domain name versus not having a great domain. People want to link to a great domain name. They want to be associated with the authority and that validation of a great domain name because, well, they assume it's been registered by somebody that's an industry expert and all these different things. As somebody that owns towing.com, for example, we have quite a few links that are just people that have linked to, oh, you just need to find a towing. I guess you just need to find somebody over at towing.com. They have no clue that it's literally a search engine of towing companies. They just were jokingly linking to it, dozens of years ago, but that link still benefits us in the search engines nowadays. So having the key domain name is a big deal. And that's one of the benefits. That's why we develop premium domain names, is we take advantage of that authority, that validation that comes, helps us in our sales calls, our sales emails, helps to have a great email address. Could you imagine contacting a lumber mill or a lumber mill contacting a client and they have lumbermill.com as their email address? That's an email that somebody wants to open if they do business with lumber mills, right? Like, you have to choose out of all these spam emails, are you going to even open any of them? But one of them comes from lumbermill.com, Drew at lumbermill.com. What the heck's this? How'd they get that domain? I'd never even heard of them. Boom. You have access to that market because of that domain name via the email address. Okay, back to expireddomains.net, lumbermill.com, certainly highlighted. We're not even getbusinesstrips.com. Pretty good domain name as well. Let's see if that's actually coming up for auction. I feel like I'm talking a mile a minute. Hopefully I'm keeping it at a pace that is reasonable for you. But I get excited about this. This is big stuff. I mean, businesstrips.com. How many corporate people out there right now use Business Trip in their weekly language or daily language? Oh, I got another business trip. Been doing all these business trips. They're saying your domain name. So can you provide a tool that helps them organize business trip related content or business trip related activities like managing their receipts, managing their travel, sharing their travel plans, organizing social activities like, maybe I have friends out in San Diego. So, hey, I got a trip scheduled. I got a business trip scheduled to go out to San Diego. Let them know. Maybe we can interact on businesstrips.com or something. You create the tool. You use this over here. If it ever comes up, there you go. You use this over here. Think of an audience. Think of the market being who's going to transact money to purchase something, like to pay you or to somehow transition from money value over to your service. And then the audience, is there somebody that's going to use it or view it? That might be just, customers that are looking for a discount business trip travel or something like that. Anyhow, process through this. You could do it really quickly. It's why it's called the 3-minute business plan, just to help you kind of think, hey, who's going to be using this? I assume businesstrips.com is going to be used by people that travel for business. Who are they going to contact? Maybe social. Maybe they want to organize their favorite hotels, favorite restaurants, favorite bars. Maybe they can share that out with other business travelers, and they can kind of keep ratings, reviews, everything business trips, all in one location. And hopefully this over here will help you get that content pulled together. Another good domain name that actually will end in nearly 8 days. So that one's, we can actually even talk about this one next week, but we've talked about it enough for now. So Quick Fitness, pretty good domain name. Quick Gym sounds like a brand, but still sounds pretty good. Freegallery.com. We can certainly run that through a business plan. There's something possibly there for a free gallery. In fact, I might mark that. My thought with free gallery is free image gallery. What else could you do with? Maybe art installations. If you're, people that are into the art and the art, I'm hosting a gallery of my paintings, something like that. We've talked about that before on the show. Not a big fan of it. Won't necessarily talk about it. But if I have art lovers on here that are desperate for me to talk about it, I will do that. Ridebook.com. My Recycling. Maybe you can turn that into a social guilt type of thing. Like, see who's recycling the most. I put out, I don't know. Sounds lame to me, but could do it. People care about that stuff. People want to know, are they doing more for the environment than other people? You see it on Facebook all the time, right? Everybody, what is it called? Virtue indication. Anyhow, when people are posting about something just to indicate that they care about something, I don't know. I don't pay attention to that too terribly much. Here's a pretty good example of a domain name that's a near miss. Divorcelawyer.com, probably a 6-figure domain name. We're darn close to it. It probably is. Divorcelawyer.com. You see it on billboards, you see it in ads, but lawyer divorce, like, I would avoid it. Like, if you need a website and you're divorce lawyer, really hard to say that. But if you need it, then yes, it's a good enough domain name. It's more of a brandable, though. It's not something that you can't call somebody and be like, I'm with lawyerdivorce.com. They'd be like, I'm sorry, why are you talking backwards? Because that's what it sounds like. Near miss, skip those kinds of domains. The words need to be in the right order. Like if you type those words, if you type lawyer divorce into SpyFu, it's going to tell you there's all kinds of traffic. Not really. That's the people that are searching for divorce lawyer, not lawyer divorce. And you kind of lose everything good about a domain name when the words are in reverse order. When I bought doggroomers.com, groomersdog.com is a worthless domain name. Doggroomers.com is worth a lot of money. Got to keep the words in the right order. That's especially important if English is not your first language. Make sure the words are first and second, exact match in those reports like on SpyFu. Let's see just real quick what SpyFu says for lawyer divorce. I think this is an important enough factor to spend just a moment on. Look at this. Lawyer divorce, 720 people somehow type it in backwards. Divorce lawyer, 40,000 people. Divorce lawyers, 20,000. Like, lots of volume around the opposite. You just flip those words. A rookie mistake is to think, oh, it's really close, same words, it's worth buying, I'll do something. No. Rookie mistake. Don't waste your money. Unfortunately, somebody's going to spend a couple $100 on that domain name, and then in a couple of years, it's going to be dropping again because it's a false good domain. Wonder who I've fallen for that. I'm sure I have domains out there. I can't think of any examples, but I've definitely, all these mistakes I talk about, I've made. Spent well over $1 million in domain names, and I can tell you some of that money is very much about education, learning what not to do. There is no college program. Couldn't go to Ohio State for learning to buy the best domain names. I had to pay my tuition through experience. And not buying them or buying them in the correct order is one of those things. Correct order 101. That's the first time I made myself laugh today. TorontoBrokers.com. That's a pretty good generic. You can use that for any number of different things. I don't know. People don't search for brokers. They know brokers exist, but very few people kind of just go, oh, I want to find a broker for something. In most cases, we badmouth brokers, right? I think, yeah. Here you go. This is this is going to make me blush, but remember how I was telling you about toysstorage.com? Here's nearly an exact example of a domain name not to buy. Toys Sex. There you go. Actually, Toy Sex. That might be a better domain, but those double S's and a middle S, just you got to skip that. It's going to that would be a quick way to lose some money. Rate My Coffee sounds like a fun little travel or coffee blog. And when I say coffee blog, what I'm saying is find a blog site. You can find sites that'll let you set up a blog. You point your domain name to it, pay them a couple bucks, and then you can write content or take photos of your content, put them up there. Similar to like maybe a Twitter feed or a Facebook feed, except for you own it. You own that domain name. You own that content. Facebook can't turn you off. YouTube can't turn off your monetization. You own the content of your site. It's one of the main reasons all of us domain people are super into domains. We want to own. We want that independence and that freedom. Just to get back to that theme, we have not even made it through one page here. Let's see if we can finish up this page. Coming up on 52 minutes into the hour. Affordable propane. I like to avoid words and domain names that kind of have to do with money, like that free. Like I'm not a big idea. I don't like free necessarily. I don't like affordable. I don't like cheap. They get search engine traffic, but I don't like that to be part of like the brand of things. Oh yeah. I'm gonna start moving down through these pretty quick, I hope. Let's see if we can get through another page really quickly. So I've mentioned this before as well. The domain names, there is quite a few domain names that you can, if you can get down to those domain names that are like in the 2000 appraisal or even less, like 1800, I found a lot of great domain names down there. A lot of people don't go that deep. Those are where you can find a domain name for $100 or less that are just as good as some of these expensive ones they hide. And I'm realizing I've missed some chat. Let me see here. Let me kind of look at these. Oh yeah, and that Ulysses here. Thanks for joining me, Ulysses. I just first time I've seen your name here. Yeah, lumber prices are up. So lumbermill.com, bad time for them to lose their domain name, right? One could be a light label. Okay, and then yes, and just back to the search engine ranking, content is still certainly the main feature. The domain name is just a way to give a path to that content. And, you know, what happens is Google is ranking the authority of a site. So by authority, they're talking about how important is this? Do people view this domain name as mattering or this website as mattering? Great content creates people saying, okay, this is great content. It's talking on subject. So there's authority there. Just a great domain name just goes with that. We're looking for authoritative domain names. So authoritative domain name with that authoritative content, it just goes into your mix. You can put a great site up on with great content, any domain name out there, and over time, it's going to rank. Really what it comes down to is if you build out on abc123lumbermills.com and you call people and you're like, hey, I'm with abc123lumbermills.com. People are going to go, oh, okay, that's great. I think I've seen you on the internet. What? Like it's harder to communicate. We're all so busy. We don't keep track of everybody else's brands and websites and stuff. But when you have that keyword, that main domain name, it doesn't matter if they keep track of your brand or not. they instantly think they have that great domain name. They must be a great company. They must be somebody worth listening to. So there you go. And yeah, when it comes down to that free gallery one, there you go, NFT gallery. That's a pretty good idea. I don't really know much about that stuff yet. Still learning my NFT stuff. So okay, we're gonna crush one more thing. We're gonna do it in 4 minutes. We're gonna try to find some great domain names, and by one page, we're going through 200 domain names. Section sales. Here we go. Let's go. See if we can find an amazing domain name for you to build something on, or to bid against me, because if it's too good, I want it too. I love this stuff. I want to build on stuff too. Why do these domains look so crappy all of a sudden? This is the difference between that first page and the second page. Most of these are just like, what is, like the fact that somebody like, ooh, really good food, that could be fun. It's 3 words, sounds like fun. I mean, if you called somebody and said, hey, I'm with reallygoodfood.com, makes sense. You'd always be wanting to own goodfood.com though. Buy Chicago, didn't know it was for sale. Independent driver, could be something there. Mighty Tools, You ever just watch, like, I wonder how many times I go through at least a cup of coffee and a cup of water while I'm on this show a lot of times. And I usually do at least 1 cup of coffee and 1 cup of water before the show. So by the end of the show, I'm, of course, squeezing my legs, dancing, doing the... Okay, we need a Drew a count of how many times I make myself laugh. I'm up to 2, I think. I think if I had a camera that I needed, like if I went for another camera, it would be one right down on my laptop looking up, so that way you could see the direct faces that I made. There we go. We're through 200 domains. And to be quite honest, I'm not seeing any through there. Let's see if we can catch something on this page here. I'm going to give it like 3 clicks. If we find something, then we're good. Okay. And here's the thing. Okay, 3 clicks, Vapor Prime, Safeway Storage. If you are playing at home, keep going. Keep going. You never know if you're going to find just the domain name that's really going to be able to change everything. I've bought probably more domain names from page 3, 4, 5 down the road, domain names that are just kicking butt for me. Those domains, you can find them, and especially if you're getting started and you're dealing with the lower budget and you're just kind of like, hey, I don't really know what I'm going to do with this. Look for those lower price, those lower down the list domain names, and then implement the bidding strategy of do not bid until the day of. Wait as long as possible. I usually advise people bid if you can, if you have the patience, and wait until 5 minutes and 10 seconds to bid. 5 minutes, 10 seconds is when you want to bid on GoDaddy auctions. That's what you'll usually find me do. If you see me bid on something, well, you wouldn't be able to see it, but if you were ever to watch me bid, if I'm bidding on something within 6 minutes, it means I want that domain name. Like, that is something I'm trying to implement every possible strategy to get it. So there you go. If you see something, just keep going down that list. You might be able to find something, implement the strategies and things to watch out for that we talk about here. And I did not ask, but please subscribe to this video. If you value, some guy on the internet looking for opportunities to share with you, and you want to see this content, you want to, see the different things that we bring to you, the various domains that if I spot it, I go live. I'll bring it to you. I did just last Thursday. I went live randomly just to say, hey, look at some of these great domain names. Freshbread.com went up. Discount Fireworks. I mentioned a couple others on Thursday. I try to find them on Monday, but if I don't, I can always, I may just toss out a video or something. So you want to subscribe to this channel if you value domain names and the opportunity that they represent, or if you're just an entrepreneur looking to build, looking for opportunities, this is where you can get it. Little channel here with Drew Wash, Domain to Profit. So thank you so much for joining me. You can watch this, and if you're watching this on Restream, you should still subscribe. And if you could possibly join me live is the way to consume this, because you never know what might pass the screen, what might be talked about that is no longer going to be available. Sometimes these domains will expire over the course of an hour later or a little later on. So like businesstrips.com, yes, next week it's going to expire, I believe, during the show. But if I would have found it next Monday, it would have been like, hey, businesstrips.com, if you want it, got to get it now. And if it's going for $1,000, you have to make that decision real quick. Just give yourself time. Let yourself see these opportunities, process on them, and make great decisions, change your life, help make your dreams come true, just as domains have helped me make mine come true. I am Drew Wash. Thank you for joining me. And I will see you over on Twitter. Drew Wash is my user handle. Always tweeting domains. Otherwise, see you here. Next week, I will be in Savannah, Georgia, which I'll be coming to you remote from Savannah, Georgia, for another casual show, looking through domains, finding opportunities. So subscribe. See you then. Take care.